Hello friends, my name is Natalia Porsche, and in this video I will tell you why voluntary departure can be your best friend but also your best enemy. What happens when you get detained by ICE? Well, of course, you will go through deportation procedure with immigration court unless you have a prior order of deportation or a voluntary departure. If at some point in the past you went to court and let's say you had a hearing and you've been offered by immigration judge an alternative to be deported, a voluntary departure. And at that time, you was thinking that this is the best option that you can have and you can leave the United States by yourself without ICE escorting you to the plane to pay for your own tickets. Also, you had funds. Okay, so, but then suddenly something happened and let's say you had a sick relative here in the United States or something happened which you did not expect to happen. So now you're thinking, okay, so now I'm not going to leave United States. I'm going to stay here because I cannot leave the United States right now, or I change my mind. So what's going to happen next? And majority of people do not know the consequences of failure to depart if you've been granted by a judge, by immigration judge, a voluntary departure. So usually if you are non-detained, the voluntary departure might give you 60 days from the date when you accepted the voluntary departure by the immigration judge. That if immigration judge offer you such an option, you have might be 60 days or might be 120 days, depends what order of immigration judge states, right, to depart the United States. And let's say you fail to depart the United States and you decided to stay. So what's going to happen next? Well, what's going to happen next is not really good, because if you ever will be detained again by ICE and now you don't really have an option to ask for any sort of relief. Not just that, no, you're not eligible for adjustment of status or a cancellation of removal, and you can face a stiff civil and criminal penalty for not leaving the United States when there was an order issued by the judge, because that voluntary departure order now converted at the time when you're supposed to leave and you did not, converted to a removal order, right? So, and now you have to face worse consequences than if you had, for example, an order of removal in absentia, because an order of removal in absentia, we know that if you're detained subsequently, let's say 3-4 years or sometime later after, let's say you was removed in absentia, and an absentia means that you was not attending court, right? So you was absent to some reason. So now you would like to reopen that case, the case where you was removed, in which you was removed in absentia, and now you're detained for some reason or the other by ICE. And so what is possible, right, under these kind of circumstances? Well, this hypothetical, and remember guys, these hypotheticals only, right? So, but this hypothetical actually is much better as far as reopening the case and trying to figure out some kind of defenses and request a bond than the hypothetical with a voluntary departure, because voluntary departure is really only for people who decide to leave the United States and not to stay here, right? So let's say with hypothetical, with voluntary departure, now you really will face a stiff penalties because you did not leave the United States. However, with order of removal in absentia, you actually have a chance that if you never left the United States, you actually can reopen your case. And if you are detained, there is the standard, they cannot remove you because you were removed before in absentia, right? So if you file your motion to reopen, and that motion to reopen, you are claiming that order when you was ordered to be removed in absentia, you did not know about that hearing, for example, right? Or you could not make that hearing for one reason or the other. There was an extreme circumstances that prevented you to attend that hearing. So now it will be more difficult to, let's say this case, you have actually a much easier chance chances to reopen your case. If you're incarcerated and there was a previous order, if you're detained, there was previous order of removal. So now you can reopen this case because of an absentia order, okay? Versus a voluntary departure order, when you actually attended the hearing, you requested a voluntary departure, or you agreed with an immigration judge, when an immigration judge offered you a voluntary departure, you agreed to depart, you failed to depart. So now you're not adjustable. Now it's more complex, right? It's actually, you might not even have any kind of remedy here unless you leave the United States and wait there for another 10 years. So I hope this video was helpful to figure out how this voluntary departure works, and I hope this will clear some of your guys' concerns why voluntary departure can actually play against you rather than in your advantage. Thank you so much for watching this video. Goodbye.